They wanted something with a little,
Like what?
Do it with me. Ready? Discount, double check.
I like it. It's terrifying.
Right?
Matthews?
What's up, dude?
He plays football professionally.
Hey, Rogers! Move! Matthews!
You could save big with a discount double check, only from State Farm.
Hurry in for Customer Appreciation Month at Subway. We're saying thanks with $2 6-inch subs all December long. Either the cold cut combo or meatball marinara for $2 each.
Thanks, guys.
Gracias.
Donka.
Go for 2.
Subway. Eat fresh.
You do a lot of thinking on a bike. About your life, family, your dreams. One of my dreams came to me on a bike. To open up my own shop. So what happens when you complete a dream? Well, you just start thinking of the next.
You're listening to SIVN Radio. We'll be right back in a moment.
It's always been a part of me to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. Whether on my block or around the world. My name is First Lieutenant King, and I move toward the sounds of those who are in need of help.
The few, the proud, the Marines.
Entry invalid.
Mode. Mode.
5 seconds.
Oh.
The Windows Phone 8X by HTC on Verizon. It features easy-to-navigate live tiles that are simple to customize. Just pin what matters most right to your home screen. Exclusively with DataSense, a feature that makes the most of your plan. Only on Verizon.
I was once used for small jobs.
And I took on all the bigger, tougher ones, but with Mr. Clean's new Select-A-Size Magic Eraser, he can take on any size job.
At least we don't go near Rex's mobile home as often.
What are you, scared?
New Mr. Clean Select-A-Size Magic Eraser.
You're listening to SIVN Radio on the Salute USA TV iBroadcasting Network. You're listening to SIVN Radio.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, man, right here on the Critical Rant. And I tell you, there's so much to discuss. Stan, I'm going to defer to you. The fiscal cliff affects the average listener because
Congress has not voted on how we should pay taxes. It's not so much a debt ceiling that we're worried about, it's the taxes. So we're trying to wait and see whether or not they're going to reform and rework the tax code for us. The problem seems to be with wealthy people, that they shouldn't pay any more taxes. That if you're going to give everybody taxes, middle class, you should get the wealthier tax.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this perhaps is the ace in the hole for old white power to say, I know that America's demographics is changing, and I'm get all I can. And what President Obama has said repeatedly,
who ran on it,
who repeatedly says, I am here to help the average middle class, and of course by all means the poor. And that, as the gentleman said, that trickle down effect has never worked, and trickle up effect has always been their game.
Because you work, you build.
Go off up in here.
Well, Marcus, you build an economy from the mill out.
I like that. I like that.
There just needs to be balance. Okay, what Bush instigated these tax cuts for the wealthy. Okay, so they got several years of tax breaks. They could take their money and go to Paris and fly on corporate jets and do their thing with it. Okay, they've had their fun. Now there needs to be balance. The rope needs to swing the other way for a while. It'll swing back. Republicans don't get all bent out of shape. Obama only gets 4 more years. Okay, so it'll swing back your way at some point.
They wanted to swing back by Christmas, though.
At this point, it's swinging back towards the middle class and those that have been disenfranchised.
Yes.
Well, Bill, how would the GOP, if they could come up when Bush went in and said we're going to start 2 wars that wasn't paid for, and give people tax breaks for the wealthy that wasn't paid for, how do they expect anything to ever be balanced? When Bush got his job, Clinton passed him over, here's a surplus. Continue. But no, they couldn't continue that. They had to go in, and Bush said, I got all this money, I'm going to spend it. Him and Cheney ended up being the worst president, vice president of any of them.
Cheney and his buddies pocketed so much money because of the wars in Iraq and the different places. It's incredible.
Because I was going to ask you, who do you think benefited from those wars?
Exactly. I mean,
surely it wasn't the
Congress. No, Congress.
Yeah,
they all got contracts because a lot of them on those committees.
War is a very complex thing. The causes of it are sometimes hidden. What were the real reasons we went to war in Iraq in the first place? It certainly wasn't because of the stated purpose being weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
That wasn't it.
That was the cover.
There was another motivation.
Right.
And whatever it was, well, they got it done. They, made their money. And now Barack Obama has taken the steps necessary to correct that mistake. He's pulled our troops out of Iraq.
Yes.
They're gone. He has continued the war on terrorism at a very astute level. He's not, what I like to say is he's not, people will expect a lot of things out of Obama with regard to the war on terrorism. They expect him to, be like a King Kong on top of the Empire State Building, beating on his chest, pretending that America is the baddest dude on the planet.
Very well said.
But he's not like that.
Right.
Okay. He's up there on the Empire State Building, all right. But he's a sniper.
Right.
He's undercover.
Right.
He's picking them off one by one. Osama bin Laden is gone.
More
dead.
Under President Obama, terrorists have been eradicated to our knowledge, general knowledge, than under President Bush and Dick Cheney.
Absolutely. Obama is gone. The second in command, what that guy's name, I forgot his name, but he's gone.
Malawi.
Yes, numerous operatives that were in power and in charge of Al-Qaeda, they're being eliminated one by one.
But can I ask a devil's advocate question? It seemed like, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, that they kept the guys alive to further their own. I'm just saying now. I'm not a big conspiracy guy.
You're just saying, right?
I'm just saying. It seemed like, how can you have a guy who has only been in Washington for just a few years come into office and, as the kids say, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and take out the top of the top.
Top operatives.
And these other presidents, I'm just saying, it just seemed like to me something fishy.
Obama's a quick learner.
Yeah.
He learns fast. I mean, he wasn't a senator for very long. He hadn't really been in a high political office for very long, but he's smart and he learns fast. And he has demonstrated that with the choices that he's made. Look at the people he selected to be his advisors. Look at the people he selected to be on his cabinet. These are critical decisions, and they're important because a leader has to be able to make those kinds of decisions, because it's going to affect everything he does. It's going to affect all the decisions that he makes. That's why when he ran for office against John McCain, it was such a bad thing that John McCain chose Sarah Palin as a vice president. I mean, she just wasn't ready in that job. That's not saying that she's not capable. Sure, she's capable. She wasn't ready at that particular time.
Well, I think that
it was a bad choice.
But I think that what hinged on Sarah Palin And what has caused this stall in Washington is this whole Tea Party, which is nothing wrong with having, the four parties that we have: Republican, Democrats, Tea Party, and Independents. But I think that's what brought the stall. And when they got to Washington, I'm not so sure that they were fast learners like President Obama was.
Well, the Tea Party is just what, the fringe of the Republican Party? Is that how you could characterize them?
I don't know.
Hey, it's more like the raggedy egg. They are just out there, man.
These are the tantrums, the babies that throw the tantrums, the young crowd, if you will. But I wanted to ask this question: what does the Republican Party need to do to modify its platforms to be more viable on the federal level as far as winning the presidency? Because we could talk more about them governing the states. They're governing more than 50% of the states already. But what could they do to change their platforms? Because we need all parties, and as you said earlier, we need all opinions. But we can't tolerate for a long period of time extremes.
Well, the Republicans have a long way to go because as long as their stance on some of the liberal issues is what it is, they're not going to get broad support. Their stance on abortion, listen, people, abortion is not going away. As much as you may hate it, as much as you may wish that every woman in the world would not have one, even if she's raped, you can forget it. It's not going away. The immigration stance, you want to take the conservative Republicans wanted to take teenage kids who are living in America, who were not born in this country, but came to America when they were toddlers, when they were 2 or 3 years old. And technically they're not citizens, but they've been in this country for all of their life. They want to send those kids back to Mexico, to a culture they're not even familiar with, and to be thrown into a situation where it would be just untenable for them to have any survival skills. As long as they take stances like that, people are not going to support them in a mass way.
Wow, Bill, there's one thing I'd like for you to talk about, which you have some experience on, in dealing with how Obama fought a lot of wars, is that he used technology. Drones.
Oh man!
Could you talk a little bit about?
Well,
it? You're familiar with that.
Well, it was interesting. That was one of the key points in the debate between Obama and Romney, right? When Obama was talking about how America has fewer ships and fewer this and fewer that. Well, Obama came back and was really criticized for what he was saying about, well, we have fewer horses too, Mitt. We have fewer bayonets too. Wars are not fought like that anymore. It's in fact, even with the manned aircraft that are super stealth like the F-22, Obama cut that program because even those type of aircraft are pretty much obsolete. I mean, you got to go with what's effective. Drones. He has increased the use of drones throughout Afghanistan and Pakistan and the various areas around the world. You see the use of technology, high technology, without exposing the human to the possibility of being killed or hurt or injured. It's just incredible. And it's a good thing that he recognizes that these technological advances are moving forward, moving the human race forward in dealing with the inevitable consequences of war. Because it's not just, the wars that we're fighting, it's the wars that we're not fighting. Think about some of the decisions that Obama has made. Things on, people are not getting killed. People are not in harm's way because of the way he's handling this situation.
Yeah, because one of the things is how he was able to go in there and, along with the Navy SEALs, and capture and kill the number one terrorist, Osama bin Laden, that George Bush said, I'm just not interested in him anymore. I just want to make money.
Well, it's funny. What the Republicans will say to that is that, well, Obama didn't do it, the Navy SEALs did it. Well, it's kind of like being a head coach. Okay, you know, a president is a lot like being a head coach. When you're a head coach and the team wins, oh man, it's because I've got great players, I've got great assistant coaches. But when